Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana makes car selling fast and easy from start to finish. Enter your license plate or VIN and get a real offer in seconds, down to the penny. If you accept, Carvana will come pick up your car from your driveway. Or you can drop it off at one of our car vending machines. Either way, you get paid instantly. It's fast, transparent, and 100% online. Car selling that saves your time. That's Carvana.
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
This is the Cats Roundtable with John Catsimatidis.
Everywhere around the world, they're coming to America. Every time that flag's unfurled, they're coming to America.
Good morning, America. This is the Cats Roundtable. John Catsimatidis here. Another great show for you today. Dr. Peter Michalos, Live Long and Prosper. Lynn Shaw, Lynn's Warriors. How do we take care of our kids in our country? Judge Richard Weinberg on legal battles in our country. Brandon Stracker talking about when the Democrats are leaving the Democratic Party, they have a place to go. Senator Tommy Tuberville. Joe Manchin. Well, he's no longer a Democrat. He is now an independent. Steve Moore on the economy. And let's start off with the FBI. Assistant agent in charge of the entire New York area, we have Christopher Rea. With us today is the FBI Assistant Director in charge of the entire New York area, and we have Christopher Rea. Can you give all New Yorkers and people in the whole area an update where we are? It's the end of the year. I can't believe the year is gone.
You know, as far as where we're at, quite honestly, I'm very encouraged where we're at as far as public safety goes. You know, what we've seen in the last year, quite frankly, has been probably the biggest results we've seen has been in that violent crime sphere. And I don't have to tell you the numbers. Jesse Tisch talks about that all the time, but that not only in New York City, but quite frankly in the country, in violent crime, murders are down, assaults are down, attempted murders are down. We're taking down gangs, making neighborhoods safer. And so very encouraged and very positive from where we were just 9-10 months ago. I do want to talk about what we would consider, what we call an emerging threat, or something that I want people to know about. It's regarding a group called 764. Are you familiar with them at all, John?
Well, there's a lot of groups that have been called quasi-terrorist groups or full terrorist groups, and people are starting to be afraid that some of these people are paid by outside powers. And fill us in. What's going on?
This one's pretty near and dear to my heart, 764, because it targets our children. And I don't care where you stand on the political spectrum. Everybody is either a parent or a child or both. And this particular group called 764, it is targeting our children. That the group is held under our domestic terrorism portfolio, and so we consider them a domestic terrorism. I don't want to go too deep into their ideology, but essentially the 764 group advocates for the downfall of society. They're what we would call an acceleration group through the exploitation of our children. And that's about as deep as I'm going to go there and not get into some of the more graphic details of the ideology. But essentially what they are doing, they operate primarily online, and they target our children. They basically entice our children, they build rapport with our children, and then they ask them to do some very graphic, violent acts to themselves, to other animals. They entice them into they extort them, I should say, into producing sexually explicit material, child sexual abuse material, and basically hold that over their head while at the same time blackmailing them, extorting them, and essentially ruining their lives, for lack of a better term. And when I tell you that this threat is pervasive, It is pervasive here in New York City. It's pervasive in the United States. And quite frankly, it's pervasive around the world.
There's so many of these groups around. How many groups are under the FBI watch list at this point as terrorist groups?
I don't have a good number. Obviously, it's dozens, if not more than that. I mean, we've seen with the new leadership, we've now designated drug cartels and we designated transnational gangs as terrorist organizations. You heard about the recent announcement as Antifa as a terrorist organization. Those numbers are growing the more and more we dig into these things. So today's number, a year from now, it's probably going to be different than the number a year from now.
Is there a FBI hotline that they call if they have any information on it?
Absolutely. It's going to be 1-800-CALL, CALL, FBI, to submit a tip. You can also go online, John, at FBI.tips, TIPS.gov, and submit an online tip as well. And what I tell people is the majority of our cases that we get are predicated off of these tips. So every single one of those tips gets reviewed. Every single one of those tips gets looked at and triaged and taken care of.
And now the telephone number was
1-800-CALL, CALL, FBI.
Well, thank you so much. And what else? You want to say anything else to the American people?
Two quick things. One, to put a bow on the 764 thing, my ask is to all the parents out there, please, you've heard it. It's not more important than it is right now. Continue to monitor your children's social media. I can't express that enough. Monitor the social media. Make sure they are going to good websites and not one of these websites that we might see one of these bad actors on. I'm a parent myself. I'm constantly on my children's phones and electronic media. Shifting gears really quick, I do want to take a minute, John, to talk about a new initiative we stood up, the Homeland Security Task Force. We had a big announcement earlier in the week on that with a press conference, and that is essentially a new task force that we've stood up to combat not only violent crime, but to combat those new foreign terrorist organizations that have been designated, the transnational gangs like PDA, MS-13, and drug trafficking organizations like the Sinaloa Cartel, CJNG, who continue to plague our community here in New York and our communities all over the country.
Christopher Rea, FBI Assistant Director in charge of the whole New York area. Thank you so much for keeping us informed and keeping all New Yorkers and Americans safe. And let's catch up again real soon.
Yep. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
The Cats Roundtable.
And with us today, Senator Joe Manchin. Tell us, what is going on in the Democratic Party? The way I look at it from 51,000 feet is that the socialists that don't have a party are out to steal the Democratic Party from the Democrats.
Well, John, I'll say that I'm not a Democrat anymore for just exactly what you defined. It's not the Democratic Party that I have known, I grew up in. I said I'm fiscally responsible and socially compassionate. I think most Democrats and Republicans feel that way. They might have different ideas of how to solve the problem, but they all are Americans. They feel strongly about our country. But right now, the far left, and no different than the far right on the Republican side, has captured them to a certain extent. We've got to get back to a sensible majority to where those people are making the decisions. I've never seen a piece of legislation pass from the extremes. And they're talking about the Democratic Party that basically did not truly believe the way the progressives believe in securing the border the way it needed to be secured. President Trump gets a lot of kudos for that. But with that, there has to be some compassion. And we passed a piece of legislation, bipartisan, John, in 2013. It was an immigration policy. And basically, we would not have this problem today. We need to get back to getting good legislation done by people who have the best interest of our country, but have a common sense approach, and they don't villainize the other side.
What happened to the days of Ronald Reagan sitting down with Tip O'Neill, and the days of Newt Gingrich sitting down with Bill Clinton, and cutting a good deal for the American people, not necessarily for the Democrats, not necessarily for the Republicans?
John, I think there's so much misinformation out there, and people have so many ways to express themselves to the point they're just tearing everybody apart. No one knows what to believe and who to believe. That's the problem that we have. And you think that the internet has caused this. Wait till AI gets up and running the way I think it's going to be. And if we don't put some guardrails on, and people cannot just say what they want, they can't defame it, they can't just make accusations and do it anonymously, we have got to protect society. And when you see other countries right now, John, that are basically prohibiting, just Australia just passed a bill that they prohibit any person younger than 16 years of age to get on social media. Now, tell me if people aren't concerned about the misinformation that we all have. How do we correct that? The purpose of serving is public service. It's not self-service, and it's not basically attacking and villainizing and retribution. It's bringing us together. And the progressive, the far-left Democratic Party, John, they keep saying, oh, this is where it's going. Look, that's where the party is. That's where the power. John, they haven't won an election from there in any swing state. The Tennessee race where there was a lady running, and she came within 9 points. They said that was a good loss. There's no such thing as a good loss, John. The bottom line is that was a pickup for a moderate Democrat if they'd done they'd had the right candidate. Same way in most parts of areas where their swing areas are purple. They're not going to win from the left. They can't govern from the left, I can assure you. And I couldn't remain a Democrat because of the things I inherently were wrong with the direction they're going.
And there was a big loss for the Republicans in New Jersey, where Jack Ciattarelli, everybody said they were neck to neck, and I guess the Democrats won by 13 points. And that wasn't the ideal Democratic candidate.
No, but I can tell you one thing. I know Mikey Sherrill, and she's a good lady. I could work with her. When she was in the House, and me being the most moderate, centrist, conservative Democrat, I could reach over and work with Mikey, and I could work with Abigail. So basically, the Democrats put up two of the best they possibly could in an area that took that type of – if they'd have had anybody further to the left, they'd never gotten elected. Never.
What else would you like to tell the American people?
Everyone should want your elected leaders to do well. And you don't have to be scathing against them and saying, oh, I hate this person, hate that person. Just say, listen, I disagree. I wish they would consider something else. When you're opposed to something, John, have a better idea of how to make it better. Don't tell me, say, Joe, I'm really mad at you. I'm like, why don't you just say, hey, Joe, could you consider doing something a little differently? Maybe it'd be better received. Maybe we could work together. And everyone's they're on attack mode. We have got to get out of attack mode. You are not the enemy. And the American people aren't stupid, John.
And they should sit down at the same round table and do what's best for America or best for every state in the union.
Well, New York is our flagship as far as the New York. What else can I say about it? I enjoy every minute I'm there, but it's still a city that it's a very complicated area, and you have a new mayor now. And I would tell everyone, whether you agree or not, whether you support or not, the person got elected through the process. You got to do everything you can to hopefully he'll be successful in helping and be able to speak truth to power and make sure that you're going to speak out and be able to correct the things you think he's doing wrong. That's all.
Senator, the fraud that's going on in Minnesota, $1 billion. How does that happen in the United States of America?
I have no idea how I don't. And let me tell you, anytime you throw that much money, during pandemic messed our country up, John. Pandemic put our mindset that someone else owes us. Someone has to take care of us. And when we start pouring out, we run the country around $6 trillion. It's taken about $7 trillion now. It used to be about $5 and a half. That's how much more it takes to run our country. And what we do, we borrow money, we go in debt with $38 trillion. What happens when you have that much money going into a system? Just to give you one example, just during 2020, we put $3.2 trillion additional because we were trying to fight off COVID and keeping our economy from crashing. And what really happened? We put so much money out, and then we came back when Joe Biden got elected and put another $1.9 trillion. Now we're up to $5.2. Within a period of 1 year, John, we put twice the amount of money that it takes to run our country. There's no way you can monitor that.
We need the checks and balances to make sure that our taxpayer gets their money's worth.
And I would say this to President Trump right now. I know they're talking about sending checks and things like that. I don't think we need to send any more checks to Americans. Just give them an opportunity, give them some stability and a clear direction of where they need to go, take care of themselves. John, remember this. Government should be the best partner you've ever had. It should not be your provider, but it should have the compassion to take care of those who can't take care of themselves. And that's where we have to be. And we're getting more and more people that could be helping themselves a little bit more than have in the past. You know, the great generation is just about finished.
Joe Manchin, thank you so much for giving us some common sense Democratic opinions, and look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Well, John, I wish you the happiest and Merry Christmas and the happiest of the New Year. And thank you for what you do to continue to get at people. Thank you, John.
Thank you. You are listening to the Cats Roundtable. We'll be right back.
Take my word for it. I live there. Come to Florida. Get pre-approved right now with my guy, Michael Kotze. Call him at 561-441-2730. He's got Choice Mortgage and a great real estate team. Get pre-approved right now. Michael Kotze, 561-441-2730. Buy in Florida right now. Don't wait. Save money on state taxes. Make your move today with Choice Mortgage. Trust me, Florida is waiting. This guy's so good, he did my commercials in Florida, too. Mike Kotze, 561-441-2730. All right.
Hi, it's Eva Longoria, and let's be real. After 40, we should ask for more from our skincare. I swear by Revitalift Triple Power Moisturizer by L'Oreal Paris. With vitamin C, pro-retinol, and hyaluronic acid, it reduces my wrinkles, firms, and brightens. And it's not a procedure. It's just a hard-working moisturizer.
Revitalift Triple Power Moisturizer by L'Oreal Paris. Grab it today in fragrance-free or with SPF 30. Available at your local Walmart.
Every leap in American history has needed breakthrough energy.
Ignition, liftoff.
Now, AI is here, and Chevron is working to power it. We're aiming to develop multi-gigawatt power plants near data centers, designed with future pathways to lower carbon intensity. AI gets the power it needs, communities get the jobs, and the grid stays strong. Powering AI today builds America's next superpower.
Retirement isn't just about closing out your career. It's living the life you've always dreamed of. With New York Life, you get the financial guidance to make it real. Start today at nyl.com.
Welcome back to the Cats Roundtable. Well, this is Dr. Peter Michalos, Live Long and Prosper. And he's going to tell us how can we live another 10 years? How can we live to be 100? Well, Dr. Peter, what do you say today?
Well, one of the things is we want to live long, so we want to not get sick. And now we've entered a super flu season, it seems, and the cases are rising throughout the country. So today we're going to talk about an interesting topic. We're not going to talk about the medications for flu, but we're going to talk about things that you can do, the foods and the supplements that help to boost our immune system and help to lessen the symptoms of the flu. And one of the things, the all-time favorite, is chicken soup, but nobody ever talks about what's the science behind how chicken soup helps with colds. And it actually contains a compound called carnicin, and that actually helps reduce that congested, stuffy feeling in the nose and reduce inflammation. And chicken soup also happens to be loaded with vitamin A, C, magnesium, and phosphorus, as well as antioxidants. So that's really the mechanism on why a good bowl of chicken soup will always make you feel better when you have the cold and the flu. Another food compound is garlic, and garlic actually, there's a medicinal reason. It contains a compound called allicin, which boosts the immune system, and it actually can slow the entry of viruses into our cells. So it reduces the severity and the frequency of the illness. And some of the other supplements we're going to talk about that boost the immune system, you always want to let your doctor know and consult with your physician if you have autoimmune disease of any kind, because you don't want to rev up your immune system if you have autoimmune problems. So the next thing we're going to talk about is something called elderberry, a natural berry that when it's cooked, it's helpful and it boosts immunity, and it helps fight colds and flus, and it helps support heart health, and it contains something called flavonoids and vitamin A and C, and it helps reduce inflammation, and it's been shown in some studies to reduce the severity of cold and symptoms. The other thing we talked about is zinc and copper, and why do they always combine zinc and copper? Because if you take a lot of zinc, it blocks copper absorption, so they usually end up giving it together, and that has also been found in some studies. If taken immediately right away, it helps slow down viruses from entering our body. The other thing is having a good soil-based probiotic, because we now know that 80% of our immunity is in our gut. And if you have a good soil-based probiotic, which keeps your gut microbiome in balance, that also helps. The other thing that helps is B complex, because B6 has been also found to stimulate and help and support white blood cell and T cell production, which helps you fight off things. And another one is called echinacea, which boosts the immune system and reduces inflammation, and it's been shown to have some modest benefits in sub-studies by increasing white blood cells and our natural killer cells, which go after viruses and cancer cells. And of course, last but not least, we're going to mention the vitamin D as a supplement, which helps fight off viruses and bacteria. And vitamin D actually turns out to be something called a pro-hormone, and it manages calcium, it boosts our serotonin, which is our happy hormone, and it helps shorten the duration of colds. And another one is vitamin C. It doesn't block viral replication, but it's been found in some studies to shorten the duration and severity of colds. And
the basics is you want to take your vitamin B complex, you want to take your C, you want to take your D, D with the K2, right?
Right.
And you want to take the zinc because it makes those vitamins act better.
Yeah, the zinc helps to block the viruses as they enter your mouth and your nose, and it slows it down. And additionally, green tea drinkers seem to get less colds because it's filled with all types of antioxidants and has antiviral properties as well. So green tea turns out to be a great thing. It also probably helps us to lose weight because it speeds up metabolism. And of course, a little bit of garlic in your food seems to also be helpful as well because of the compound called allicin that's inside it. And of course, stay super hydrated and try to do things like we talked about, keeping an air purifier that has a HEPA filter in the room that you stay in during holidays and the office space.
And the glutathione that you recommended a few months ago is what, once or twice a week?
Yeah, the glutathione was found during COVID. They found that the glutathione people who were in the ICU or got really sick had very low glutathione levels. And a lot of practitioners started recommending supplementing with glutathione, which is a powerful antioxidant, which also seems to help us fight off viral infections. And again, like you always say, medicine's going at warp speed, and we're learning more and more about how all these different natural products found in nature help to optimize our health and boost our immunity.
And the probiotic that is recommended, is that for every day or every other day, or what do you think?
They do have probiotics. I take one that's a soil-based probiotic that I do take every day, and we find that the balance of bacteria is very important. And another wild recent study found that one of the bad bacteria called P. gingivalis, when you find that in the oral microbiome, higher levels are associated with Alzheimer's disease, and it seems to get into the bloodstream through the gums, and it can cause brain inflammation. And a recent publication showed that bacteria, higher amounts, are associated with Alzheimer's. So we're learning more and more and keeping that balance. But because in the old days, people who lived on farms were healthier because their hands were in the soil, gardening, and in city life, we're not exposed to the good bacteria from the soil. So that's why a good soil-based microbiome probiotic helps with your microbiome. And there are tests like the gut zoomer test that integrative medicine specialists do that can actually tell you which good bacteria you have in your gut, and they can guide you and direct you to which proper probiotic to take.
Understood. Well, Dr. Peter Michalos, thank you very much for coming on, and thank you for getting our listeners to live longer.
Thanks for always getting the truth out, and the plan this winter is to think positive and test negative.
God bless. Thank you.
The Cats Roundtable.
A lot of Democrats are upset that the Socialist Party is taking over the Democratic Party, and which way do they go? Well, with us today is Brandon Straka. He's the founder of a new foundation called the Walkaway Foundation, which, it takes Democrats that don't believe in what the new Democratic Party, after, I guess, Bill Clinton, are doing. Brandon Straka, tell us about the Walkaway Foundation.
Well, the Walkaway Foundation is an extension of the movement I started in 2018 called the Walkaway Campaign. So at this point, we are the largest national movement of former Democrats who've walked away from the Democratic Party. And the movement really began when I had my own awakening, I guess you would say. I voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. That was after voting for Barack Obama twice and being a lifelong supporter of the Democratic Party. And when Trump got elected in 2016, like so many people on the left, I was completely shocked and outraged and confused and scared and all of these things. And it was largely because I had bought into completely the media narrative of who Donald Trump was and what MAGA was and what his presidency would be about. And so I went on this, what I call kind of a journey of research that really just started not with any sort of intention of ever being okay with Donald Trump or his supporters, but really just trying to understand how the media got it so wrong in 2016 and why anyone would vote for this man. And I went back and I started watching all of his speeches in proper context and really sort of researching what he was actually about. And what I started to discover on this journey of research was that nearly everything I believed, not only just about Donald Trump and MAGA, but even about a lot of the ideology of liberalism was erroneous, and that the media had so deceived and manipulated me. And when I got kind of to the end of this journey of research, what I discovered was Donald Trump was not my enemy, but the media that I'd been trusting my entire life was my enemy. And so I made a decision to walk away from the Democratic Party. And then I made a 6-minute video detailing all of the reasons I was leaving the left. And I put this video out, which went massively viral. And I started a movement called Walkaway, encouraging other people to share their stories. And at this point, we have over 750,000 people who have joined this movement and tens of thousands of videos and written testimonials from people sharing their stories. And through the Walkaway Foundation, we travel the country going into college campuses, doing minority-focused town halls, debates, rallies, basically doing outreach all over the country to get as many people to walk away from the Democratic Party as possible.
Understood. And, I mean, when did this movement really start in your own mind? I mean, did you see things? I mean, I'm seeing things right now that my mouth remains open, like the $1 billion that's missing from Minnesota. There's money missing from almost every Democratic state, where it seems like during the Biden administration, I believe in immigration, but it looks like it wasn't immigration, it was an invasion. And we brought in a lot of criminals. We brought in a lot of, I mean, what happened? At what point did you see that big shift in the Democratic Party?
Well, so I started to see it, I would say, around 2015, 2016. And then, like I said, after Trump got elected is when I really started to put the pieces together. But I think for a lot of people, some of these things that you're saying right now, you know, people ask me all the time, you know, in all these walkaway videos we have, what's kind of the common theme that people say? And I always say, you know, the specific issue that drove people to walk away may be different in each story, but the common theme is betrayal. And by that, I mean, most people who identified as a liberal or identified as a Democrat did so because they thought they were a part of something that was good or something for the betterment of humanity. And what they've come to see is that there's been, I'd say, a corruption, a deception, and maybe even a weaponization of their compassion, of their kindness. I mean, to your point, when, people say, oh, but, we want everyone to have the American dream. We want what's great about our country to be available to everybody. Well, then the Democrat politicians have manipulated this to say, well, then we need to open our borders. Let's bring in 12 million illegal immigrants under Joe Biden. People are looking at this and going, well, wait a minute. This doesn't work. This doesn't compute.
See, I wouldn't mind, by the way, Brandon, I wouldn't mind as much if they brought in immigrants, but they brought in criminals and people, that were very sick. Venezuela, opened up their hospitals and sent everybody here.
Well, there you go. And see, this is Marxism 101. I mean, I think one of the quickest ways to destroy a country is to destabilize it. And that's what the Democrats seem to want to do. Anything that will make our country more lawless, anything that will impoverish people, every policy that they support is about destabilizing our society.
Tell us how do people reach your website?
Go to walkawaycampaign.com. And, we're really excited about the work we're going to be doing next year. We're going into the midterms, and I think one of the most key demographics we need to be touching is young adults, 18 to 30 years old. And so my organization is going to be doing a lot of college campus touring and also a youth summit next year designed to address the issues that are really concerning young people, which is affordability, housing, and the future of the American job market. And if people want to get involved or help support our cause, please go to walkawaycampaign.com.
Well, thank you, Brandon Straka. Thank you so much for coming on, and let's catch up again real soon.
Will do. Thank you.
You are listening to the Cats Roundtable. We'll be right back.
This is Charlie. He's my part rescue dog, part whirlwind. Half of his breakfast always ends up on the floor. And he leaves fur everywhere. That's why I grabbed the Bissell Power Clean Fur Finder. It's cordless, powerful, and actually finds fur you don't even see. If you've got a pet like Charlie, you've got fur everywhere. The Power Clean Fur Finder gets that. Discover how Power Clean Fur Finder makes pet cleanups effortless at Bissell.com.
Everyone wants the Emirates NBA Cup.
And things are heating up.
30 teams started. Bang! But only 8 have advanced to the single elimination knockout rounds. To survive, they'll have to be hungry, relentless, ruthless.
Are you kidding me?
They all want the cup, but only one team can claim it. Who will capture the cup? Emirates NBA Cup semifinals, Saturday on Prime.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
I use Shipt same-day delivery to stay connected with my sister during the holidays. She lives across the country. Shipt has tons of stores to order from. Groceries from Albertsons, crafts from Michael's, even pet supplies from PetSmart. The list goes on. So when we have long-distance movie nights, I turn to Shipt to get face masks, snacks, and everything else we need delivered to her and to me same day. Download the app or visit Shipt.com. That's SHIPT.com.
Welcome back to the Cats Roundtable. If you ever miss a segment or want to hear it again, go to WABCRadio.com, go to podcasts, go to minicast, and play back your favorite segment. With us today is Senator Thomas Tuberville from the state of Alabama. Well, Senator, I know we talked during the week. We're falling further apart between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. It used to be that we would all be able to sit down together at a table and reconcile things for the sake of America.
Well, it's good versus evil, John. To be honest with you, I've been up here now going on 6 years, and I just I don't stand up for Republican or Democrat. I stand up for America, and I've never seen like the division that we have with the Democrats of them wanting to do something the direct opposite of what our forefathers meant to happen. Just overspending, open borders, lawlessness, do all these things, and now let all these immigrants come into this country and allow them to spend money, taxpayer money, and live here and live off our giveaways, basically, at the end of the day, when we can't take care of our veterans and our elderly and all those things. So we got a huge problem up here in D.C. The only thing that has really rectified this is President Trump has stepped in and say America first, and that's what we need to do. But we have a problem that has been happening for 10 years in Europe, and they have an overrun of immigrants that have basically take over Europe. Europe's almost gone. And the same thing's going to happen here, John, if we don't step up and start speaking out about this Islamic group coming in and saying, listen, we don't go by your Constitution, we don't go by your laws, we're going to go by the Quran, and we're going to chant death to America, all this Sharia law nonsense. Hey, if you don't assimilate, you don't belong here. Now, we love immigrants because all of us come from immigration. But at the end of the day, the immigrants come years ago, they wanted to come here and make a better life for themselves. These people want to come here and take our country over. And I'll be damned if we're going to let that happen.
And we're being invaded because the people that they're letting in is the people that want to change our way of life instead of them assimilating and becoming Americans.
Exactly. Barack Obama was a Muslim, and he brought all the Muslims, all these Somalians in and dropped them in Minneapolis. He didn't divide them all up and send them to different states. He did it for a reason. He wanted them to take over that state, and they did. And now they've stole us blind $1, $2, $3, $4 billion a year from all the giveaways that our federal government has. Tim Walz, the governor there, he allowed all this to happen. It was all by plan. Now, Joe Biden let in all these Afghanistanians from Afghanistan that was supposedly helped us during the war there, which was totally false. We didn't vet these people. They're in our country now, and they're trying to change our lifestyle. And, folks, you got to speak up. We cannot be quiet about this, or you're going to end up like what happened in UK, Ireland, Germany, all these countries in Europe. We're not going to let it get to the point, John, where we're going to fight in the streets. We're going to cut it off. And we did this in Alabama just recently. There's a Muslim group that built an academy. They wanted to really expand it larger, but we had a board that said, no, we're not going to allow you to do that, to build it any larger because you're going by the Quran, you're going by the Sharia law. And the last time I looked, the Sharia law chants death to America, and the Quran does the same thing. It teaches to kill non-Muslims. And we do not, and our people don't deserve that to happen in our country.
I hope this does not turn into a religious war, because that's what we never want. One of the reasons the president has closed off migration or immigration, whatever you want to call it, to the United States is because we have to sort things out. How can these people really steal $1 billion? How does stuff like that happen in the United States?
We've gotten so big, and we have so little oversight. Think about all the money that we've sent to Ukraine. How in the world do you oversee all that money? Because half of it's been stolen. And that's the reason we're $38 trillion in debt, John, because we don't have enough people saying enough's enough. We're giving this money, but we don't follow the trail of what really happens. It's almost impossible to do that. You can't hire enough people, but thank God President Trump has got people like Doge and Elon Musk that came in early and do the things to where we were just so bloated in some of these agencies that we've taken back control of it. But it is a disaster.
An interesting number would be, if we really knew the truth, that of the $2 trillion deficit that we had last year, how much of it was stolen or given away?
Well, just think about this. First of all, the American taxpayers send $5 trillion a year up here in federal taxes. $5 trillion. That should be our budget. But what do? We spend that $5 trillion, and we spend $2 trillion more every year. And that's the reason we're $38 trillion in debt. We have no sense of no common sense here, and no sense of a budget. Most of these people are lawyers up here. They're not business people. Who is a business person up here? He's sitting over on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue called Donald Trump, and he understands this situation. And you can't go in and just cut it all at one time, but you can start, and that's what he's done. But I'll tell you what, he's ruffled the feathers of all these Democrats. But who are these people that he's running off? It's their voters. and it's their money that they turn around and use against us in elections that they're stealing. So it's an interesting situation that President Trump's caused. There is a reason they've tried to impeach him twice. They've tried to shoot him twice. They've tried to do everything to eliminate him. But I'll tell you what, he's still kicking, and he's our president, and thank God he's in the White House.
I agree. And the people out there should know one thing. When President Trump gives away money, he makes sure there's return on investment to the American taxpayer. When he said to Ukraine, we'll help you, well, what did he get in return? All the mineral rights to the Ukraine belong to the United States.
He goes to the UAE the other day, and he brings back a contract worth $4 trillion over the next years to build manufacturing stuff in the United States. I mean, people don't understand what that is really about. It is jobs. It is good-paying jobs. It is making our economy better.
Well, it's very sad what's going on in our country, and I hope President Trump fixes it, because he's on the road to fixing it, and I think the new year that's coming, 2026, will be the best year for the United States of America.
Exactly right. People are getting a little anxious, and you've seen this. Prices are not falling like people want. But guess what? President Trump was underwater when he took over 10 months ago. And it takes a little bit longer to straighten out the biggest economy in the world in that short period of time. But you let the tariffs kick in. You let all the big, beautiful bill with the tax reliefs and the tax credits getting ready to happen, hopefully better health care. You're going to see all kind of a positive thing happen in our country. But we go back to what we talked about earlier, John. We have to stop this immigration, because we, as American people, number one, we don't want it, and we can't afford it. And so let's take care of Americans first.
Senator Tuberville, thank you so much for coming on, and God bless you and God bless America.
God bless you, and Merry Christmas, John.
Merry Christmas.
The Cats Roundtable.
With us today is Stephen Moore. Where the heck is the economy? Steve Moore, where the heck are we?
Well, John, first of all, objectively speaking, as an economist, and I'm a little biased because I've worked with Donald Trump and I think the world of this man in terms of what he's doing for our economy. But look, every indicator is up, John. They're all turned north. So we have all-time high on the NASDAQ, on the S&P 500, and on the Dow Jones. We are very close to Dow 50,000. John, do you remember when it was 1,000? So we've seen one hell of a run.
Well, you know, me and Larry were fighting for a long time. Who was the first person to predict 50,000 3-4 months ago? I did.
It was Larry. No, it was you.
No, it was me. I told Larry.
So, look, by the way, if this trend continues in 5 years, we'll be at Dow 100,000. So these are amazing times to be an American. Incidentally, every country in the world, John, every country in the world would love to have the American economy right now. Now, why are people angry? They're angry about prices. But guess what? 87.5% of the increase in prices that people are angry about happened under what president? Joe Biden. So,
well, under Joe Biden, oil went from $50 to $100, and wow, interest rates went from 2%, 3% to 6% or 5%, wherever.
So here's so all of these indicators are strong. There's 7 million jobs out there. We've got investment capital flowing into the United States, and yet voters are angry. And we see that from the election results, from what happened in Miami this weekend, what happened in November, and some of these off-year elections in Virginia and New York and New Jersey. Republicans have to figure out how to talk to disaffected workers. I'm not sure Trump is doing a great job of that, because he's got a great story to tell. And yet, for some reason, they're not. In other words, you know, did you see, John, where Trump said, I rate the economy A+++. Remember he said that. And I don't know if I give him an A+++, but I give him an A- on the economy. But you know what, John? I give the Republicans for selling this a D.
Let me tell you something. The Republicans are not doing a good job of conveying to the United States people how good the economy is going and how good the interest rates are going. I mean, interest rates, with being able to buy a new home at a cheaper rate, and gasoline to buy it cheaper again, those are two major factors.
I'll give you another one, John. Okay, the 150 million Americans either have a 401k plan or they own stock through the retirement funds or just individually trade stock. Do you know the average 401k plan just this year is up in value $24,000 after inflation? But people lost money in their 401k plans when Biden was president.
It's unbelievable, and people don't realize the Biden administration was a really bad administration. We didn't have immigration, we had invasion.
Also, John, one point I want to make before we close on this. 2026 is setting up to be a blockbuster year. I think you've been saying that on your show. I couldn't agree with you more. Larry Kudlow agrees with us. Everything's set up, hundreds and hundreds of billions. Trump says it's trillions of dollars of foreign capital coming in the United States, invested here. Wages will continue to rise. We're going to see a lot of new jobs. We're having a manufacturing boom in this country. So, and one other quick thing, John, don't forget about the big, beautiful tax bill. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security benefits, no tax on overtime. That all kicks in on January 1, 2026.
And you know what else helped? I believe a lot of the union workers, the auto workers, the Teamsters, all voted for Trump. You know why? Those tariffs, they were made to protect the American worker from having their companies moving their plants to Mexico or Canada or Europe or whatever. Mm-hmm. And by having those tariffs overseas, it punishes companies that take jobs away from America.
And that's why this capital flow into the United States, companies are building plants, they're buying equipment, they're buying machinery, they're increasing the research and development spending. The more American companies spend and invest here, the better it is for the average American worker.
Well, Steve Moore, thank you again for coming on, and let's catch up again real soon.
Thank you, John. Have a great weekend.
You are listening to the Cats Roundtable. We'll be right back.
Looking for ways to keep the kids entertained while traveling? Netflix Games lets them jump into fun, creative adventures at no extra cost. Everything's unlocked with your Netflix membership. From Paw Patrol Academy and Lego Duplo World to Barbie color creations and World of Peppa Pig. There's something for every little explorer. And you don't need Wi-Fi. Kids can play anytime, anywhere. Visit NetflixFamily.com/travel tips for all your kids' holiday entertainment.
Introducing Meta Ray-Ban Display, the world's most advanced AI glasses. With a full color display built into the lens of the glasses, it's there when you need it and gone when you don't. Send and receive messages, translate or caption live conversations, collaborate with Meta AI, and more. Be one of the first to try Meta Ray-Ban Display. Visit meta.com/Meta Ray-Ban Display to book a demo and find your pair.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first... there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
This episode is brought to you by McAfee.
I got a message that our flight was canceled. But they can put us on another flight, and we just need to confirm our credit card info.
Wait, I got a security alert from McAfee. It flagged that message as a scam.
McAfee's scam detector automatically spots and alerts you to suspicious texts, emails, and deepfake videos. Learn more at McAfee.com/online protection.
Welcome back to the Cats Roundtable. With us today is Judge Richard Weinberg. And Judge Weinberg, the migrant situation in Europe has been going on a lot longer than it's been going on in the United States. In the United States, it went under President Biden, where we got, I guess, not immigration, we got invasion. Europe is now threatening to penalize the countries that don't take in migrants. I can't figure it out. You tell me.
This is a crisis of Western civilization, as you correctly point out, John. The problem is the European Union. Once you're into one of the countries, you can go anywhere and travel anywhere on an EU passport. The penetration of Europe started with Angela Merkel, who's a prime minister of Germany. She let everybody in. So when they hit Greece, they move throughout Europe. What they've done is they've now overrun the Western civilization as we know it, the Judeo-Christian ethic of those countries, the whole civilization. Biden, through his lawless, unconstitutional process, letting everybody in and packing the country, again with migrants who did not have a legal right to be here, changing America too. The latest gambit posed by the European Union, which in my opinion puts them on a suicide path, is that if you don't let somebody in who's a migrant, no matter what their legal status is and whether they add value to the country, they will be penalized, they will be fined by the European Union. It may well be that we've reached the crisis of the European Union, and it may be time to fold the European Union and get rid of it, the same way that the English got out of the European Union with respect to Brexit. If you want to save the culture of your country, you need to be able to control your borders. Without safe borders, controlled borders, you have no country. And this is a real problem.
Well, I was at a dinner last week where I had to speak to a European-based people, mostly Greeks, and some of the Greek ministers were there. I repeated a message I gave back 2 years ago in Greece, that I believe that Germany should be German. I believe France should be France. I believe Italy should be Italy. I believe Greece should be Greek. And in invasion of other migrants to change the belief of those countries, I just had a big problem with it.
Well, I think that's exactly right. The historical trend of immigration was you went into a country, you accepted the culture and the values of the host country. You didn't come in with an ideological or religious agenda to change the host country and make them submit to your values. You adopted, you assimilated, you became part of the host country. The American dream always consisted of come here and become an American. Now, and respect the laws the constitutional republic were founded under, and now that's being challenged. You have pockets in the country who were lawless and do their own thing with respect to how they want to conduct themselves. Paris is overrun. London is overrun. You have places where the police and the armed forces cannot go in because they're controlled by pockets of migrants who shouldn't be there in the first place, who will not allow the lawful administration of justice and law enforcement by the host country. This is an awful situation.
And one of the reasons I believe for Brexit in England was they went from 67% British to 47%. You know, I believe in immigration, but that's a bit much.
If you want to change the whole culture of Europe, just keep this up. You'll wake up in 10, 15, certainly 20 years because of the birth trends, and you will no longer recognize the historical Europe, which was built on Judeo-Christian values. And when they go under, you can be sure with that success, they're going to start moving towards the United States.
Well, I think under the Biden administration, that was their mission.
I think that's exactly right. What Biden was doing is he was packing the voting rolls with people he anticipated, if he let them in, would vote for the Democratic Party, and he'd have permanent control of one party in this country, which is a very dangerous phenomenon.
And the Democratic Party is under attack by the Socialist Party.
Oh, of course. And who's really running the Democratic Party today? The Socialists. Even though they're a minority in the party, they control the funding, a lot of money coming in, they have the organizational structure, and they win the primaries. So what they do is they launch primary campaigns against incumbent centrists. They knock them out because of the redistricting process. Most seats, for example, in the House of Representatives, are controlled by one party or the other. Maybe you have 40 swing seats. So even the Congress of the United States, you cannot have substantial change except in the primaries, and the primaries are under attack, being controlled by the left wing socialists, Democratic Socialists of America, and other groups like that.
Judge Richard Weinberg, let's continue this conversation because this is a conversation that cannot be forgotten.
Thank you very much for having me.
The Cats Roundtable.
With us today is Lynn Shaw, Lynn's Warriors, protecting our kids. Where the heck are we protecting our kids?
Well, listen, something we really have to look at this week is this talk about Netflix that everybody's kind of been touching on in the media, in the news, in the headlines. Netflix wants to buy Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers is part with HBO. They've got our beloved Looney Tunes. They've got franchises such as the great program in the day, Friends, that a lot of young people, John, by the way, are going back to. We're talking 12 to 18-year-olds are now going back to these old series that we used to watch on television. So there's kind of this resurgence in old TV shows. So Netflix is buying up all this content. If this deal goes through, and John, I don't really understand how it can go through, it will be one company. I was going to say entertainment, but I'm not using that word anymore. I'm going to say corporation here, okay, Netflix Corporation. It's going to be one company absorbing all of this content, which Warner Brothers started about 100 years ago. They're going to have this magnificent library. What are they going to do with that? Because they already put out a notice the other day, Harry Potter, the franchise, that's part of what they're absorbing. They also have Batman. They have all these iconic things that kids have always watched, they've grown up with kind of thing. But Harry Potter, I thought this was interesting. They put out a notice. They wanted forgiveness for something that was in a scene, like 18 years ago, because today we don't think like that. So now we got one company potentially owning all this content that here's the plan, from what I'm hearing. They will create content, an endless source so fast with AI, right? You can churn that stuff out 24 hours a day. I mean, it doesn't cost any money, right? So parents won't be able to keep up with, what is my child watching? Remember watching. It's also, kids are on the iPads and the phones and all that stuff. That's another conversation. Be careful about, obviously, we talk about that on the Warriors all the time, all this content. But they're churning out this content. And this way, the children, they're going to be hearing, we don't know, one kind of message, one kind of maybe ideology. And right now, a new study came out, I was just made aware of in Washington yesterday, John, where about 43% of children's content right now, and we're talking preschoolers, we're talking little kids right now, up to age like 10, 43% of it has sexual content in it. This is the most ridiculous thing. And Netflix...
It's not the Ozzie and Harriet days.
Forget that, or they leave it to Beaver. I mean, I'm still watching Andy Griffith. I like that with Aunt Bee. I mean, that's like a nice show to settle in for 28 minutes, and forget your problems. But they're putting the messaging in. It's been happening with Netflix in their series, and we've sounded the alarm, we've raised the alarm, and people take notice for, 20 minutes, and they go on to the next thing. But now it's going to increase, because how do you affect change? You affect change, I say this all the time, we have the studies, you go after the youth. So if we have youth right now that are going to be fed this endless supply that will influence their behavior, their identity, their development, their young brains, they're just developing, it's not safe. These are, again, our future American adults, our leaders. And technology is basically running and shaping the next generation. And we stand very firm in that no child should be a test subject for this unregulated AI, because we're still fighting. The president right now has something sitting on his desk, an executive order. But again, there's a lot of pushback coming at him. Okay, a lot of parents groups are angry right now. You don't want to make parents angry across the United States, or maybe you do, because then you get action if everybody stands up and uses their voice. And to put out, we're going to have unregulation. We're going to wipe out any state laws that have come, some really great state laws on, and that's what America is built on, state laws and things like that for this AI regulation. But if this is wiped out and they can run amok, can you imagine? But again, it goes down to our kids. If it's going to be one company owning all of this content, I dare say, based on history, what we've seen coming through Netflix, which people aren't even aware of because they don't outright say, okay, we're going to have a show about trans. I use this analogy because I can't help it. My favorite character, Strawberry Shortcake, little cartoon character, her new friend is named Transberry. So you see how they don't actually say we're going to have a trans show, but we're going to have these characters. And a little 3, 4, 5-year-old is going to see this and become confused. So all of this is untested, and we really hope the president is taking, and I know he is, a hard look, because there is pushback at this executive order. But I dare say, John, it's going to go through because big tech, again, history has proven, right now they're kind of just ruling the roost. And I also say that all of these child and family issues...
I think you have to come up with the actual thing, how it's hurting the kids.
John, we were in Washington all day yesterday. We have proof. We have studies. We have psychologists. We have doctors. We have parents whose children have been harmed.
Yeah, but they have sex appeal.
Do I have sex appeal? What? Do I have
Sex
what?
appeal. Checks appeal. They write big checks. You know, you want... Lynn Shaw, I'm there standing right next to you. We will fight together for our kids. Thank you for coming on this Sunday morning.
Thank you, John. Lynn'sWarriors.org.
Thank you for listening to the Cats Roundtable. Every Sunday morning, we'll bring you the latest in what's happening in our community, our country, and the world. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a nice Sunday.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Payne Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.